All right, lead us off, Big Drew.
Hey, man.
Hey, pony up, Drew.
I am ready to go, man. It's another episode of Southwind's Stoop Stories, and it feels really good to be back. Today we're going to talk about two types of people, man, because at the end of the day, man, there's like a billion. I don't even know the stat, but there are billions of people on the earth. But at the end of the day, there's only two types of people among the billions roaming the planet.
Well, who are they, LaDrew?
Man, they can be summed up in a lot of different ways, but I like to say there are people who make things happen and people who let things happen. And in those subcategories, we'll talk a lot about different types of people, but the first that will fall in the category of the make things happen. People that make things happen have great self-awareness. And I mean really self-aware. Aware of their strengths, their weaknesses, their limitations, aware of the fact that they can't trust themselves.
Yeah, aware of how other people perceive them.
100%. And aware of how their behavior is perceived by others in real time.
Yes.
My favorite quote, I say that a lot, but one of my favorite quotes is, if you think you are something you are not, you only deceive yourself. So, I remember specifically a time here where I thought I was something I was not.
Well, elaborate on that, because we need to hear this.
Man, one of the many times you had me feeling salty, telling me to wipe that sad look off of my face. I feel like I'm a nice guy. I feel like I have great intentions for others and myself. And I feel like I portray that consistently. And there was a leader at this specific time that wasn't aligned with that. Didn't see the same thing in me that I felt I saw in myself. And, truth be told, you informed me that, man, how that person perceives you is still true, even if you don't believe it.
Yeah.
You're actually deceiving yourself because you think you're something you're not in that person's eyes, which minimizes my ability to, work alongside them.
Or lead effectively.
And I got salty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I was hot.
I remember this, and you were salty for a good minute.
I was, man. It was tough for me to mind shift from that one, man. But at the end of the day, I was only deceiving myself in that time. So,
well, it's funny to know. It's also really funny to note. Well, it's not even funny. It's just interesting that we generally are upset when we realize that what we believed was true was actually not true.
Yes.
But a great learning experience that's buried deep inside of that. So hopefully you learned a lot from that experience.
I did. And at the end of the day, I think it all stems back from being self-aware that, man, what I know of the truth is minimal. So there's a good chance that I'm going to be wrong.
So let's give some examples of self-awareness so people can, just identify with what we're talking about. So if you've been the football player on the team, or the basketball player on the team, or the baseball player on the team, and coach just never gave me my shot. I'm the dopest out here. Matter of fact, can't nobody fuck with me. I'm the best.
Yep.
He just holding me down. That is someone who is not self-aware. And you want to know why that is? Because coach want to win games too.
Coach wants to win the whole ship.
And he needs to, actually, because his job depends on it.
100%.
So you have to, if you've been that guy, you have to recognize in that moment, the reality was that coach didn't believe in you. He didn't believe that you gave him the best opportunity to keep his job and to win the game.
Yeah, 100%.
So whose perception is wrong there? Am I really dope?
No.
Not as dope as I think I am.
Not even close. Because if you were, you wouldn't have to wonder.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't be on the sideline scheming on why you're not in the game. And in the same way, professionally, if you think you're better than someone else who's higher up.
I should be running that business.
Yeah, man.
You know what? They don't know shit. I can't believe they're doing this. The reality is I'm the best out here. And they just haven't seen that for what it is.
Yeah, man. It's so interesting because the shit happens every day. When you are, I've given my value presentation everywhere, in a morning meeting inside of Southwind. And whenever the value of anything increases, it's sought after. So I've had the ability and privilege to be a head football coach before, and there were guys whose value was so high, guys like a linebacker. I'm like, hey, Josh, come here, bro. You ready to blow somebody's head off? Yeah, coach. Yes, coach. What you need? All right, I'm about to put you on offense real quick. I'm going to line you up right by the quarterback. We're on the 1 yard line, and I just need you to fuck somebody up. The first person, I don't even care who it is, as long as it's on the other team. Got it? Yeah, okay. He's so valuable. We just finding stuff. So for all the people saying coach is hating on me, I should be running that business. If someone's not coming up to you asking, hey, we need you to do this. You might not have ever done it before, but we know what we've seen in you, man, you will excel here. So don't even worry about the fact you've never played offense. Just line up here and blow somebody's head off, And lo and behold, he does it. And we score a touchdown. But he's so valuable that they go find him. So if people aren't finding you and you're complaining, then you're not the guy. Because I can tell you this, head coach is always going to find that guy.
Yeah, and he always wants to win.
Always.
You never met a coach in the history of the earth that said, hey, guess what? Today, we're losing. Today is the day, baby.
Yeah.
We lose today.
Yeah, that doesn't exist.
No.
Hey, Josh, you know what, man? Hey, I need you to bat number 2 today. I usually put you in that 3 hole, but today we need you. No, you know what? Fuck that. I need you. You're starting the lineup. Lead off hitter. You ready to go?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just how it works. You're not sitting up here wondering, wishing you were doing more. You're actually doing it.
We kind of identified the different levels of awareness there, and we talked about the football analogy and then the professional analogy where, I believe that I should be doing X, Y, and Z, and that everybody else is foolish, and I have all the wisdom here.
Yeah.
So I just want to kind of highlight that and just I want to circle back real quick because like there's that's arrogance.
Yes.
Overconfidence.
Yeah.
Because I don't want people that's listening here to think you shouldn't believe that you're the best at something. Because that's totally not true. But there's things that happen in life that lead you to believe that you're the best.
Correct.
Okay, so if you're having success, there may be something that's telling you that you're the best. You're winning things. You're getting affirmation for great work done. You're being asked to do other things outside of your norm by other people. You're being asked to be a mentor. You're getting asked for advice. If all of these things are happening, you are probably pretty good.
Yes.
And you have reason to believe that you're worth it. But on the contrary, if none of that's happening, you still believe you're dope. There's something wrong there. And then a difference is also there's 2 sides of awareness. There's that awareness where I believe that I'm the dopest and nobody's just seeing me for what I actually am. And then there's this other type of awareness where it's actually I am really good and I don't believe that in myself. And that's equally as poor. There's been several promotions that I've given to people where they've been like, me? You think I can do this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, do you not see what I'm looking at right here? You got all this stuff. You have charisma. You're enthusiastic. You do great work. You care for what you're doing and the people that you serve. How could I not put you in this leadership position? They're like, damn, you think I can do it?
Yeah. That reminds me of, there's 2 types of people. And there are some people who set everything up to embrace the fall of failure. So they try to put some pillow cushions down, a couple blankets to make the fall not hurt so bad. That's the person who me? You think I can lead? You feel like, they
scared
find
of
safety,
success.
Scared of success. Find safety in the fact that they never tried it. Yeah, you're spot on with that because they're equally as bad. And I would say a person who's self-aware is only confident in how hard they're willing to work. That's where the confidence comes from. So I'm extremely confident, only in the fact that I'm willing to do what it takes. So if you told me to start running and prepare to run a marathon, because that's what it takes, and you got to be ready by April. All right, I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it if that's what you said. So I'm confident just that I'm willing to do the work.
Yeah.
I might, I know I'm not the best. I'm not even close to the best. I'm not the best at anything, but I am willing to work as hard as I physically can. and I have the courage to do what it takes from a mental standpoint as far as the words I project. So like, I will do it. I will do it to the best of my ability, and I'll get my ass kicked like Rudy Rudiger, and I will get up and play the next play again. And that's what you can count on, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Tyler always says, the business partner and president at Southwind always says, one of the biggest skills in life is being able to see things for what they actually are.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe that. And that's just because life kind of gives you guys. There's some, like, it disguises itself as something that actually it may not be. And it's challenging to see. So, like, if you're on the phone, you're like, damn, that might be me. Yeah. Or if you're sitting here listening to the podcast, you're like, man, am I not aware? Like, that's okay. And you have to take confidence in knowing that, like, all the work you're doing, if it's consistently the best in class, you are probably doing a great job.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's how you gauge yourself. You're looking at, we always talk about fair market value. Like, what's, if I'm good and I'm doing this at the top of the level, what would other people in the market rate this work as? You know, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. You know, essentially, what is your worth?
Yeah.
And I know that the worker is always, and I mean always, worth his wages. So whatever you earn and whatever, you know, if you're in the Southwind brand or outside of it, you get exactly what you deserve and what you're worth. You know, I would also say that, you know, at the end of the day, man, Tyler's right. And it's really, really tough to be self-aware, and it's a skill. And my years in education, I saw it, you know, in the public education sector. There's like, even the teachers are unaware, man. And it was a scary, so you have people who are unaware leading, you know, so shame on them and the people that are following them. Because if the blind lead the blind, they both fall into the pit, man.
Yeah.
And self-awareness, I think that's where it starts. You know, I would say the people that are listening, if they're like, man, am I aware? Here's how I know that I have pretty good self-awareness, other than that day that you had to check me. The person I trust the least is myself. And I know that oftentimes my initial, now I'm getting more self-disciplined to where I can trust myself more, but even every time I text, I usually, what I say first is not what needs to be said first in order for the result to be gotten. Yeah. So I always, and this happens all the time, I'll start texting and then I'm like, that's not going to get the result. And then I move the cursor to the beginning, I push space, you know, return, and then I type what needs to go first, and then I send the message.
Yeah, you're intentional.
I'm intentional, man. I know I can't trust myself.
Yeah, because and you can't trust yourself because emotions drive
100%,
behavior sometimes.
all the time.
And a lot of times, your emotions that are driving the behavior, it's the wrong behavior it's driving.
Exactly.
It's where you find your anger, your sadness, the pain. Mm-hmm. It comes from your emotions or your happiness. Yeah. Or sometimes optimism can be a problem. You know, I had a story. So we were starting the You Move Me brand, and I was, and this is an awareness thing for me that I hadn't considered at this point in my career. It's like 2011, 2012, and we're starting You Move Me in the corporate office, and we're in Vancouver at the Four Seasons, and we're presenting to all of these people who just bought You Move Me franchises, and we were franchise number 1. We helped launch the system, and I was tasked to like give everybody the playbook. You know, we've been running a business for 3 years and had some success, and we're like really excited about this deal. And one of the owners of the company was sitting in a room with us, and he's like, okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about what you're going to say and what's going to happen, and do you think it's good, and all of this stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, everything's good. It's awesome. Everything's going to be awesome. You know, I'm really excited. I got it all planned out. Don't even worry about it. I got it. No worries. I got everything you need. And he stopped me and he says, man, it's really hard for me to trust what you're saying right now because you're so optimistic. He was like, you know, you remind me of this time I was in Jamaica, and the cabin boy kept saying, no worries, man, I got it. And I didn't know really what he meant by that or what he was really willing to do, but he just always said that, and it made me feel uncomfortable because at the end of the day, I really can't have this mess up, and I need to make sure that you're doing that you're going to do what's needed to be done here. And I was offended. It offended me because I was like, What? Like, you don't believe me that I have everything planned out? And truth be told, I didn't have everything planned out. I had like 95% of it, but that last 5% actually caught me up in the speech when we were going through a coaching section about using laws of feedback. And here I am, like, young in a room with all these experienced leaders, and I felt like an asshole. And like I did the wrong thing because my self-awareness at the point didn't lead me to understand that sometimes I have the ability to be overly optimistic, and sometimes it needs pragmatism, and I needed to be overly pragmatic in my preparation. So like everybody can be guilty of this, and I got offended, and I still failed, and I learned a lot about that and about myself. So then for like 2 years after that, I made sure that I was pragmatic in everything I did. And I wanted to be like really direct and like really detailed because like I knew that was a weakness that I had. And so these things can happen all the time. So that story is a really good illustration of like how we get caught up in our own bullshit, that everything is okay when sometimes it might not be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say, if you don't have someone that you can balance yourself, well, if you're in Southwind, you do, because we have a team, and that's what we're here for. But always check yourself first, and work on that self-awareness muscle, man, because there are two types of people that are victims and people who are victorious. And those who are victims, their self-awareness is, they don't have it. Those who are victorious have high levels of self-awareness.
Well, let's give an example of a victim mentality when you're not self-aware of what the current state is.
Yeah, I have a perfect one. I had a one-on-one this morning with someone who felt they could do nothing about it. All these things are just happening to me. And I prefaced the meeting with the two types of people. I said, man, do you sound like someone who's making things happen or letting things happen? Guess what? Mr. Let Things Happen. Well, let things happen, people become victims.
Yeah.
Victims to be consumed by life, time. My buddy Change that I met, Change, he loves to change things into shitty situations for people who are victims. Time abuses the victim. But man, if you're willing to make things happen, you can tell time what to do.
Yep. And it's funny that you say that because everybody who says, I don't have enough time to do that is victimizing themselves at this point.
Yes.
Because guess what they still do?
Eat, go to lunch,
go
watch
home
TV
at 5 o'clock. What they really meant to say is like, hey, I've got this period of time between about 6:30 and about 4:30 that I'm willing to do whatever it takes. And if something needs to be done that's outside that 4:30 or 5 o'clock window, I'm not actually willing to do that.
Yeah.
So that like cuts my time off there. So like, yeah, I don't have enough time. Yeah. But the reality is like, you got gobs of time. Man, there's all this extra time from 5 to midnight that you can still get done what needs to get done. And here's the thing. If it needs to get done, guess what? It needs to get done.
Yes.
And there's no substitute, because if you don't get it done, guess what? You didn't get it done.
Yes.
You didn't get done what needed to be done, so you failed. And that's just the reality of our situation on a daily basis. It's like, look, there's a day. Everybody has the same 24 hours, but how people work those 24 hours indicates their level of success. And so, like, if I work my 24 hours different than you, and, like, I'm having more success than you, you need to evaluate how you utilize your time. And sometimes, even though I don't want to, or even though it's hard, I work when I get home.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's 8 o'clock, I put the kids to bed, and I go again till 10.
You know what I would say? Self-awareness tells me that not only do you work harder than I do, you're more effective than I am as well. And the data would indicate the same. So self-awareness, man, I know that. So then I just study you. All right, I'm going to start figuring out this dude's moves instead of hate on you and say, man, I should have that. You know what I mean? I look at everybody in that way. I was actually man, it don't even matter, man, because at the end of the day, there's only two types of people, man. There's people who get it and people who don't, man.
Let's give the listeners 3 tips
Yes.
to create self-awareness in their life. First tip, find somebody who will tell you the truth no matter if it's good or bad, and then ask them questions about how they perceive you.
Number 2, take a look at how you respond to things and run back your day and say, okay, I was frustrated this morning and this is how I responded. And then recognize, did that response help you get closer to where you want to go or further from where you want to go? So evaluate yourself throughout the day.
Number 3, measure things. Use facts, not feelings, to determine if you actually are who you think you are, i.e., the best person in this organization or the best person on this team exhibits this statistic. Do I meet or exceed this statistic, or am I below the statistic? Create a scorecard for yourself and then measure your effectiveness compared to somebody who's where you are in life.
That's it. So number 2, on the number that actionable, use that data that you're talking about. So if you think you're dope, like evaluate that situation, and then what did the data say about you in that situation? Did the result happen? If not, you're not dope.
Yeah, because our feelings, when it comes to us, our feelings always get involved. Yeah. That's why when Buddy told me I was too optimistic and related me to the Jamaican. I felt salty about that.
I was pissed.
I didn't like it. I want to be looked at in a different light. I wanted to be looked at in a different light than that.
Yeah. That day you told me I wasn't leading effectively, I was pissed at you. Yeah. I was hot. I said, man, if you wasn't the CEO, I'd say something about it.
First of many times I got you out.
Yeah, man. So you do those 3 things and you get yourself off the stoop.
Get the hell off the stoop.
Get out of there, man. Southwind.